Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 6 of What If Naruto Was a Stray Devil. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 7 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. So, neither of you finish it yet. Naruto drawls as he looks at the forms of his students, both laying on the ground completely covered in dirt. They both give him a nasty glare that causes him to recoil and grab his heart. Those looks hurt, you know. And here I thought my two precious students cared about me, Naruto says sadly, but neither girl is feeling particularly forgiving. It's been 3.5 weeks and they still haven't completed it yet. No one cares, Sensei, Vali says annoyed. She has barely seen her sensei in weeks. She just wants to get this over with and spend time with her sensei again. Who knows what he has gotten up to since she has been away. Actually, what have you been up to, sensei? She questions. Oh, you know, training, watching after you two, taking out a rogue fallen, and then going out for a drink or two. The usual, Naruto says with a shrug. You hunted a fallen and then went out for a drink. With who? Ravel asks curiously. Azazel texted me that there was a two-winged fallen in Egypt, causing a stir. I easily killed him, and then I visited the Great Pyramids of Giza and went out to a bar afterwards. Turns out, there was a god there. Struck up a conversation with him and he is a pretty chill dude. We have plans to get together next Friday, Naruto says with a smile. It is good to have a male friend finally. Females are great and all, but he really wants to cut back with some guys and relax. Well, at least it isn't a goddess. Vali mutters to Ravel, who nods her head. They already have enough competition regarding the blonde. So, who is the god? Ravel asks. His name is Khonsu, the Egyptian god of the moon, time, and youth, Naruto says. Both are pretty surprised, but with their sensei they have learned to not be overly shocked. Anyways, Ravel-chan, are we going to your house? Naruto questions. Why? We are only going on, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Naruto-sensei. Ravel shouts and quickly hugs him. Vali is right behind her, hugging him fiercely. Happy birthday, sensei, Vali says. She pulls him down slightly, stands on her tippy toes, and plants a kiss on his cheek. Naruto blushes slightly at the unexpected kiss on the cheek, which makes Vali inordinately pleased. Ravel huffs and jumps up and plants her lips quickly on his other cheek before gravity takes her down. Naruto blushes even more so. Thanks, girls. I have never had a true birthday celebration in my life, so this will be a first for me, Naruto says as he gives a light chuckle. Both girls grimace as they know Naruto's childhood was very rough for him. Beatings on his birthday for something he didn't have any control over. They don't care if he forgave them, in their mind they never will. Don't worry, Naruto-sensei. We will make it one you will never forget, Ravel says determinedly. He pats her head with a chuckle. Thanks, Ravel-chan. You're going to be a fine woman someday, he says with a nod of his head, while her face erupts into a dark blush. Even Vali, who has been okay with her pursuing Naruto-sensei, sends her a dark glare. Don't forget, sensei. You're my sensei. And I will turn into a great woman one day soon. In fact, I would already say I am one, she says as her eyes shift down to her body, getting Naruto's eyes to unconsciously follow hers. Vali has continued to grow, and honestly has the body of a 17-year-old who is fairly well physically endowed with D-cup breasts, a skinny waist and nice toned ass, and legs from all the training that she has been going through. Her entire body is taut with power brimming under her skin. Yeah, you certainly aren't the small timid girl I rescued 2 years ago. Now you are a strong, talented, confident, beautiful and smart nearly 15-year-old girl who I am proud to call my precious student, Naruto says fondly. Vali hits him with a half-hearted punch in his arm as she blushes crimson. Naruto just laughs at her expression as he finds it amusing and cute. Since we are going to Ravel's, I'll allow a special one-time exemption into the house, so you can shower and look presentable. I don't want your parents to think poorly of me, Naruto says. Naruto-sensei, I went back immediately after Hell Month in a way worse condition than this. The entire mansion staff and my parents thought you did something untoward me. Rest assured I told them nothing of the sort happened, Ravel deadpans. Naruto's face turns a little pale as he nervously chuckles. He doesn't need an angry Layla Phoenix to kill him. Sensei would never do something like that, Vali says heatedly with a bit of anger on her face. How dare they think he did something horrible to Ravel? They know now, don't worry, Ravel says, calming her down slightly. Let's go get ready, Vali. I'll help you do your hair, she says as she pulls the girl along by the hand. Naruto walks after them, a fond smile on his face. Even though he isn't in his original world, he can't bring himself to be sad anymore. These two girls have given him everything he possibly needs to thrive in this world, and he wouldn't change anything. An hour later, Naruto is sitting on the couch in a silk orange button-down, the top 2 buttons undone with his black dress pants and shoes on as well. His blonde hair still as spiky as ever, no amount of product can change it. He hears feet coming down the steps and finally, the girls are ready. He stands up and turns around, and his eyes widen briefly in surprise. Ravel is the first one down in a dark blue dress, matching arm sleeves, choker, shoes, and scrunches holding her twin blonde, curled pigtails and black stockings. Truly, she looks like the epitome of a young Ojusama. A step behind her is Volley, who would have a lesser man die of a nosebleed. She is wearing a light silver dress that displays her ample cleavage, and has a high slit up to her upper thigh on her right side. Her slightly darker silver hair flows down her back all the way to the top of her butt. She is walking in heels, not super gracefully but well enough to get by. Naruto can't help but blush at how good she looks. Wow, you two. You both look absolutely spectacular. Naruto praises, getting two pleased smiles in response. They only dressed up for him after all. Thank you, sensei. You look rather dashing yourself, Volley comments as her eyes run up and down his body. She knows that under those clothes is a body every male in the world would be jealous of. And one day, it will be hers. I agree with Volley, Naruto-sensei. Orange is truly your color, Ravel says with a nod. Naruto's smile gets a little wider, and now he is blushing a bit in embarrassment. Now stop flattering me, you two. It embarrasses me, Naruto admits. Both girls' smiles get slightly bigger. Now why don't we get going? I am sure Akasama has everything prepared by now, Ravel says. Ravel and Volley each take an arm of Naruto's, and Ravel activates a teleportation circle. They appear directly in front of her mansion, and both Naruto's and Volley's jaws drop at the size of it. There are easily hundreds of rooms in this place. Wow, this is easily the biggest house I have ever seen. Nothing even comes close, Naruto says as he regains the ability to speak. He also notices how the entire yard is perfectly manicured, not a blade of grass out of place. No wonder you were a spoiled princess, that had never trained before, Volley says, and Ravel shoots her a glare. I am not that way anymore. Naruto-sensei made sure of that. Thank you for that, by the way, she says as she squeezes his arm. Ah, no problem. I told you it is something of a specialty of mine, Naruto says with a chuckle. How about you give us the grand tour later? It seems like it could take a while. Of course. No making fun of my room, however. I haven't had time to change it yet, Ravel states. Her room right now is completely pink with many stories of a prince rescuing a princess. She even has a few action figures. No promises, Volley says with a smirk. Come on, Naruto-sensei, Ravel says as she pulls his arm. I don't think there will be anyone home, except for my family. Not even their peerages. They walk in through the front doors, and Naruto is once again captivated by the sheer wealth this place has on display. Priceless works of art, gold trim everywhere, marble floors and red carpet that looks like it was woven from the finest materials. Then he looks up, and sees a magnificent crystal chandelier illuminating the reception area. He has no doubt the rest of the house is like this. At one point in time, he might have been disgusted by all the wealth on display, but now he doesn't care what they do with their money. It's theirs after all. Still, the amount of gold is a little gaudy. This is very grand, Volley says after a pause, to find the correct word. I think this reception area could fit our whole house, Naruto says in a deadpan, getting a sheepish chuckle from Ravel. Yes, well, devils are known for displays of grandeur, especially my family. Let's go greet my family first. They're probably outside on the patio, Ravel says as she leads them through the house. They pass countless doors and various gathering areas, before finally reaching the sliding glass doors that lead outside. Ravel opens them with barely a push and walks outside, with Naruto and Volley following. She looks to the left and sees her mother, father, and oldest brother sitting around a table chatting. Akasama. Otu-sama. Winnie-sama. We are here, she calls out. Their chatter instantly ceases, and they all look in her direction, with Rivan and Layla Phoenix getting smiles, while Ruvels is on the whiskered blonde behind her. He recognizes him as the SS Stray from the Leviathan. Instantly summoning his magic, he launches several fireballs at Naruto, while creating a ginormous magic circle 20 feet above, and drops a huge fireball onto him. Volley and Ravel instantly react, Ravel forming a magical shield that easily tanks her brother's frontal attack, while Volley creates one above them, the fireball crashing into it, and the flames cover it, while also spilling out over the sides. Meanwhile, Naruto is standing there with his eyebrow raised, not concerned whatsoever. Volley then creates 15 magic circles in the space around them, about to shoot off various ice spells at Ruvel before Naruto holds up his hand, signaling her to stand down. Volley reluctantly complies, though keeps her guard up. Ravel. What the hell are you doing? That's an SS-class stray devil behind you, Ravel yells shocked. Winnie-sama, that is my sensei. You will not attack him, Ravel yells out, giving him the nastiest glare he has ever received from her. In fact, it might be the first glare he has ever received. Layla, snapping out of her shock, immediately hits her the back of her son's head, and gives a bow. I am sorry, Naruto Dono, for my eldest son's behavior. We were just about to inform him of you being her sensei before you walked in, Layla says. Mama, don't worry about it. I was never in any danger anyway. Good job, Ravel-chan, Volley-chan, Naruto says as he waves away her concerns. If he didn't know, then it would be reasonable to attack him. This is real Ka-san, Tu-san, you are really allowing him to train Ravel? Ruvel asks shocked. Yes, Ruvel. It is real, and you very well will show Naruto Dono every respect, or you will be punished, Layla says with a smile that promises pain should he answer wrong. Uval stands there dumbfounded. His parents are allowing a stray devil, one of significant power going by his classification, to teach Ravel. Not to mention let her live with him as well. Why, he asks. Why? Ravel parrots angrily, still annoyed that her brother attacked her sensei. Because, simply, Naruto sensei is amazing. He saved me from being kidnapped, changed me from a spoiled, untrained princess into someone who is confident in herself and skills, taught me morals to live by, and takes care of me without asking anything in return. She yells heatedly. Uval stands shell-shocked at Ravel's outburst, and looks to Naruto who is rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. Volley grins at Ravel for giving their sensei the praise he deserves. I feel the same way too, sensei, she whispers to him. Naruto blushes slightly, but doesn't respond. Again sorry for that, Naruto Dono, Revan says as he eyes him intently. His wife told him of Ravel's affections for her teacher, and wants to judge his character. His daughter speaks very highly of him, but he wants to form his own opinion. It really was no trouble. You saw how my two favorite students handled it. Also, please, call me Naruto, Naruto says nonchalantly. Now? Layla exclaims, clapping her hands together. Why don't we get to know each other all a little better? I would definitely love to hear everything you three have done the past 9 months. And maybe a demonstration of Ravel's skills. Akasama. Ravel whines. Sure. I have a few funny stories of Ravel-chan, Naruto says as he takes a seat, his two students flanking him. Volley continues to give Ravel a fierce scowl, making him slightly more uncomfortable than he already is. Perfect. Layla says with a bright smile. Ravel sneaks away from everyone else to check on the cake that she is baking. When they first got here, she left for 15 minutes and went to the kitchen. She has always enjoyed baking, and if she does say so herself, she is an excellent baker. Now, the cake should be nearly done. She gets to the kitchen and spies on her baking cake. It looks ready. I hope Naruto-sensei enjoys it. Akasama told me that one of the ways to a man's heart is through his stomach, Ravel thinks excitedly. She then blushes as she thinks of another way her mother told her to get a man's heart. Shaking away her naughty thoughts, she opens the stove and grabs the metal pan barehanded. A phoenix can be burned by something that is less hot than their flames. When Naruto-sensei learned this, he constantly had her try to increase their intensity. One less weakness to worry about. She still constantly trains them, even during the last month. Sensei said he wouldn't train them, but not that they couldn't train themselves. She quickly gets to work cooling it off by manipulating the air around it. She adds just a hint of ice magic to the air to cool it, but that's it. Her skill in ice magic is nearly non-existent. After it cools off, she applies the icing, making it all white with an orange swirl in the middle. Satisfied with her work, she quickly sets out to bring it to her sensei, imagining him patting her on the head for a good job. That's her favorite reward from him. As she rounds a corner lost in her thoughts, she nearly runs into someone, using all the coordination and balance she has to nimbly avoid them, while also keeping the cake intact. Breathing out a sigh of relief, she looks back and sees her brother Riser. Oh Ravel, Riser heard you were back home from whatever you were doing. You will join Riser's peerage as Riser's bishop, he states with a tone of finality. No, I won't, Winnie-sama, she instantly replies. Shocked that his younger sister denied him, he says again, yes, you will, Ravel. No? I wouldn't join your harem, that does nothing other than have sex with you. Now I have to go, Winnie-sama, she says as she starts walking away. Riser's shock soon turns into anger that Ravel said no to him. How dare she? He grabs her arm and pulls, causing her to jerk back suddenly, and loses her grip on the cake. It splatters on the ground in front of her. Now listen here. Riser says before a hard punch lands in his stomach, followed by several more hits, including a knee to the groin. He staggers back in pain, shocked that his little sister hit him. He looks into her eyes and slightly flinches at the anger in her eyes. That cake was for my sensei, she says deathly calm, which somehow raises the hairs on the back of Riser's neck in slight fear. It is his birthday and I wanted to give him something special. Now it is ruined because of your stupidity. You will go to him and sincerely apologize and ask for him to wait for me to make another one, or I will castrate you, Ravel threatens. Riser, a devil who has an extreme amount of pride and will pretty much never back down except to someone he knows outclasses him, decides to swallow it and apologize to whatever high-class devil for what he did as a favor to his sister. It isn't because he is a little afraid of her right now. Nope. Ravel uses a small amount of fire magic to burn the ruined cake to ashes, and walks off a brisk pace. Riser follows along reluctantly, the previous topic of discussion all but forgotten. They soon reach the patio where everyone is located. Her mother's eyes light up when she sees her, but frowns in confusion when she doesn't have the cake. Then she sees Riser behind Ravel and her eyes whiten. She hopes Riser has the sense to not attack Naruto. His magic reserves outclass his by a fair margin, not to mention his chakra. This time she had a much harder time sensing his chakra, as his magic has gotten even better at obscuring it. Now apologize, Ravel says with authority, trying to emulate her sensei when he gives them an order. Riser, however, is busy ogling the silver-haired bombshell sitting at the table. Forget Ravel, he wants her in his peerage. Giving his most charming smile, he approaches her and says Riser is the name. Will you join Riser's peerage as Riser's bishop? No, came the immediately cold response with a glare for extra measure. Ravel looks on with anger as not only is her brother not apologizing to Naruto-sensei, but he is even trying to get her best friend to join his harem. Riser frowns slightly, but he isn't easy to deter when a body like hers is the reward. Are you sure you don't want to join Riser? Riser will take very good care of you, he smirks arrogantly. Ollie adopts a severe scowl with anger in her eyes at the suggestion. How dare he? Not in a million years would I ever look at you with any hint of sexual attraction, you pompous, arrogant, small empty asshole, Volley says with a smirk, as she sees his expression change from a fake pleasantness to anger. Well, I'll just show you his limp-dicked, he says as he reaches for her, before a hand with an iron grip grabs his arm. He looks up and stares into ice-chip blue eyes. Layla, Revan, if you don't want me to turn your asshole of a son into paste, you will have him apologize to Volley and leave, Naruto says lowly, but anyone with ears can hear the genuine anger in his voice. Volley gains a blush. Layla and Revan finally snap into motion. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion in front of you, only you can't help nor turn your eyes away. Riser, you will apologize to Volley this instant or so help me. His mother threatens with his father giving him a stern expression. Ruvel is still shocked by the treatment and threat he made against a guest. Riser, however, only focuses on the blonde grabbing him. He flares his power, trying to assert dominance over the teen. The blonde starts shaking, making Riser think that it is working, and he smirks, until a snicker of laughter makes it through his lips and the floodgates open. The blonde is openly laughing at him, as if mocking him. A high-class devil, not a low-class reincarnated devil. It's funny when a chicken threatens a fox, Naruto laughs out, but there is no amusement in it. How dare you? Unhand me now, you low-class devil. Riser snarls as he tries to pull his arm away to no avail. Layla goes up to her son and smacks him, stunning him into silence. She then forcibly grabs his arm and pulls him away from everyone. Ravel starts crying and runs to her room. Naruto, Volley, Revan and Ruvel stand around awkwardly. He may have the biggest stick up his ass I have ever seen. And I have seen many, Naruto says, getting a laugh from Volley. Yes, we are hoping he will change soon. Especially with his arranged marriage to the Gremory heiress, Revan says. He usually isn't that bad, Ruvel says in defense of his brother. You're letting him marry the little sister of Demon King Lucifer. I don't know much, but I heard he is a cis-con of the highest order, Naruto says with a raised eyebrow. That's not going to end well for your family. Imagine the child born between them having the power of destruction and our immortality. There would be a shoe-in for a super devil. Revan defends his position. Naruto and Volley let out a snort of laughter at that. A child being powerful just from being born. Ridiculous. No one is just strong by simply being born. There is no shortcut to power. The only way is hard work that is paved in blood, sweat, and tears. Just look at Ravel, Naruto says with a shake of his head. Truly, there is something wrong with Devil Society. Regardless, Riser will marry her, Revan says with a note that signals the discussion is over. Naruto shrugs as it doesn't concern him. Volley-chan, let's go get Ravel-chan, Naruto suggests. Volley hops up and grabs his arm as they walk off. It takes them 15 minutes to find Ravel's room. When they do, they knock on the door and with no response other than the faint sounds of sniffles, they walk in. They see Ravel in her wrinkled dress with her face in a pillow sobbing. In that moment, Naruto is reminded that this is only a 13-year-old girl, mature yes, but not a shinobi like he has been treating her. Approaching her, he softly calls out Ravel-chan. Ravel looks up from her pillow and sees the vague silhouette of her sensei and Volley through her tears. She starts crying harder, and Naruto quickly wraps her up in a hug. Volley sits on the other side of her and hugs her too. Hey Ravel-chan, everything is okay, don't worry. I am sorry I caused all this trouble and for treating you two like shinobis from back home instead of young girls. All the stress I am putting on your shoulders definitely isn't helping, Naruto says sorrowfully. Training all day, including deep into the nights most days, and allowing them no time to do anything else isn't healthy. They are expected to go on missions and defend their village at a moment's notice after all. What are you apologizing to me for? Ravel asks in disbelief while chuckling. All I wanted was to give you a happy birthday with my family, and to bake you a cake myself. Instead, you get attacked by Ruvel Ni-sama, my cake is knocked out of my hands by Riser Ni-sama, and finally he threatens Volley. Not exactly a great birthday. I am happy to spend my birthday with my two precious people in this world. As long as we were together, I don't care about anything else, Naruto tells her. Volley smiles at her sensei as this just reaffirms that he is the best. Besides, if you want to bake me a cake you can do it at home anytime you want. Provided, of course, you finish your Rasengan training. After that I will go easier on you both, Naruto says with a chuckle. Ravel grabs his arm and stares at him while shaking her head. Volley is frowning as well. No Naruto-sensei, if anything, I want you to increase my training. It took me a while, but I have finally found a goal for myself, and I have to reach it at any cost. So, train me harder, please, Ravel says. After all, my goal is one day to stand by your side as an equal, no matter what we face. I agree with Ravel, sensei. Don't hold back. You are precious, sensei, just the way you are, Vali exclaims. Naruto gives them a blinding smile that shines so bright even Rock Lee would be jealous. Hi. I will do exactly that then. I love you both so much, he says as he wraps his arms around the both of them. Both Vali's and Ravel's mind grind to a screeching halt. This is the first time that Naruto has told either of them that he loves them. Sure, they thought he did, but hearing the words brings about a feeling of relief and excitement. Now only to turn that love into romantic love. Hey sensei, do you remember that favor that you owe me? I want you to let us spend the night inside the house and let Ravel bake you a cake, Vali says. Ravel looks at her with wide eyes as she knows Vali was saving that for something really special to do with Naruto sensei. Nodding his head slowly with a smile, Naruto replies, sure, I think we can make that work. Naruto sensei, can we go home? Ravel asks with her eyes still red from crying. Of course, Ravel-chan. We can go right now, Naruto says. They all stand up, and Ravel creates a teleportation circle back to their house. Serafal drums her fingers on her desk as she waits for her appointment. Usually, all she really has to do is read through some papers and sign off on them, which she normally delegates to her aides as she doesn't want to do it. Like right now. Her eyes flicker to the corner of her office, where she has a hidden room that is solely dedicated to observing her Sotan. It contains pictures, monitors, a full-body pillow, and even a magical girl outfit to dress up her little sister in. She couldn't imagine going one day without her fix of Sotan. Meanwhile, Sona Citri shivers and unconsciously pulls her skirt down. She is certain someone was thinking of her with less than pure thoughts, and has a faint suspicion who. She resolves herself to thoroughly check her house tonight for secret observation spells. Serafal lets out a sigh, something she has been doing a lot lately, as her thoughts move away from Sotan, and toward a man she has only spoken to for an hour. Her queen, Naruto Uzumaki. Ever since he ran off, her life has taken a turn for the worse. The snide comments, the laughter behind her back, and the questions about her capability as a demon king, are all getting to her. Her smiles are becoming more fake, and she doesn't even really enjoy shooting a new episode of her show anymore. When she first found him, she was actually really happy. Growing up, she didn't have any friends as the tensions between clans were at an all-time high. Paranoia was rampant with calls for war from the Satans, and calls for peace from others, so no one could trust anyone else. Finally, war broke out, and the Citrus fought with the anti-Satan faction. During the war, however, she felt guilty that she was actually happy. The reason? She had finally found friends in Ajuka, Fabrium, and Surziches, and they would almost always be together. They grew powerful and started dominating the battlefields, until even her own soldiers would be wary of her. But she didn't mind as she had her friends. Finally, they pushed the old Satan faction out of the underworld, and she destroyed the Catalan Leviathan in single combat, though she wasn't able to kill her. Riding the high of victory, her friends became Satans, and not wanting to be left out, she decided to become one too. She just wanted to stay with them forever. Over the past 500 years or so, however, things have changed. Surziches got married to a taskmaster, Ajuka became a recluse consumed in his work, and Fabrium converted into the epitome of sloth. She saw them less and less, and tried to make new friends and hopefully a husband, but her power became a hindrance. The men she tried to date were jealous of her power or solely lusted for her body, while the women were bitter that their men would lust after her. That's not her fault. She kept trying and trying, but ultimately gave up. Depressed, she became a recluse herself for a while, only showing up for work with her friends not even noticing. The birth of her Sotan helped relieve her of that loneliness and depression, but it slightly hurts every time her sister's eyes flash in annoyance at seeing her. Reincarnating Naruto had rekindled her desire to make new friends that would always stay by her side, and before even talking to him, she attached those feelings to him. When he ran away, that flame was brutally snuffed out, and it broke her a bit more than she already was. He just needs to give me a chance. Once I get him back, I'll shower him with affection and we will be friends, I know it. A knock at the door interrupts her melancholic thoughts, and she sits a little straighter. Plastering on a fake smile, she calls out, "Come in." The door swings open to show one of her aides holding the door for undoubtedly one of the most gorgeous women in the world. With a little sachet in her step, the 5'6" brunette with tan Middle Eastern skin and golden eyes greets Serafal with a smile. Wearing a dress that snugly fits her body and flares out near the feet with white frills, Serafal admits it is more conservative than what she thought the goddess would wear. Greetings Ishtar, goddess of war and love. It is extremely rare to get a diplomat from your pantheon for us. I believe the last was just after our civil war ended, no? Indeed, Demon King Leviathan. Well, this is more of a personal discussion between us than the Sumerian faction and the Devil faction. Serafal quirks an eyebrow in response, not sure what she could possibly have in common with the whore of Babylon. About what? The sly cat that caught the canary's smile spreads out across Ishtar's face. Naruto Uzumaki. Her words resound throughout the room for a moment before a groan escapes Seraphul's lips. She can already tell this is going to add to her recent struggles. What about my queen? Seraphul asks politely. He visited the Sumerian pantheon not too long ago. Ishtar says airily, with Seraphul showing a slightly surprised expression. Before she can ask anything, Ishtar continued. He was certainly charming and handsome. I made sure to fully avail my talents to him, but he ended up leaving me impressed. Ishtar watches Seraphul's expression closely, but doesn't see a hint of irritation or jealousy that she was hoping for. She pouts. Not jealous that I had mind-blowing sex, the kind you crave with all your being, with your servant. Seraphul rolls her eyes in exasperation. Would you care that you spread your legs open for him? I am not some idiot that falls in love with someone at first sight, you know. Nor am I some 600-year virgin. I am a devil, you know. When I get him back, I'll indulge myself. Well, that ruins most of my fun. Ishtar mutters a bit depressed. She loves seeing the envy, betrayal, horror and such on other women's faces when she tells them she fucked their man. Was there any point you had come to make besides have sex with my queen? Seraphul asks. Yeah, the Sumerian faction wants you to not label Naruto Uzumaki a stray, and that we won't hunt him. Well, one might, but anyways, if you do find him, please tell him to visit me sometime. If I see him, I'll let him know. The forced politeness in her voice is easy to distinguish. Great. Now I seem to have an itch I'd like to scratch, so would you mind if I went to Greece? The orgies there are insane, with the men thrusting their cocks into anything that even remotely resembles a hole. A shiver of anticipation and lust sweeps over Ishtar's body. Seraphul can't help but be a little disgusted by that reaction. She has some standards. I don't mind. Just ask my secretary to set it up for you. Are you sure you don't want to join? I doubt anyone would recognize you, especially if you changed your appearance a little. You'd just be a nice ass for men to shoot their seed into. We can even take them all on together. Ishtar tells her, using a touch of her power to try and build an unquenchable lust in the female demon king. Seraphul flares her powers in response, destroying Ishtar's attempt. Her eyes turn glacial as she starts at the amused smirk on the goddess's face. Get out of here, Ishtar, before you start something you can't finish. Seraphul warns as she starts to build up her magical power. It was scary. Ishtar mocks, laughing as she leaves the room, swinging her hips a little more than necessary. Seraphul rubs her head with the palms of her hands, her thoughts centering around the blonde once more. Damn it, Naruto. Don't stick your dick in crazy. Seraphul completely misses the irony of her own thought. Well, Volley-chan, that certainly was a fun 3 days, Naruto says as he floats in the sky with Volley several hundred feet away. She is looking rather beaten up, with her armor and wings all falling apart. Panting, Volley glares at her sensei. She can still go on. I am not done yet, Sensei, Volley raggedly says, and settles herself back into a fighting stance. Yes, you are. It'll be quick, so don't blink, he says before his power enormously increases as he glows briefly, Volley's eyes widening, and her primal instincts scream at her to flee, and he disappears. It was the last thing she saw. Naruto looks down at his now unconscious 15-year-old student in his arms with a proud gleam in his eyes. Her first time using her sacred gear, and she has already enough strength to use her balance breaker, Vanishing Dragon Balance Breaker. She would never be this strong without you, nor be able to stay in this form for long. Albion says out loud. Well, of course she did. No pupil of mine wouldn't be a prodigy. Only 15 and this strong. She would have kicked my ass when I was 15, Naruto says, laughing. Maybe he would have caught her off guard with his reverse harem jutsu like Kaguya. Naruto walks up to the red barrier, and his clones release it then disperse. He modeled it after the reports of the Sound 4 barrier from the invasion of Konoha, as it won't allow outside interference, and added a containment portion, so that the power they give off won't be sensed outside. He can't take 2 steps with the barrier down before a little blonde blur barrels into him. Naruto-sensei, why were you so long? Ravel asks as she looks down at Volley in his arms. She takes out a vial of Phoenix Tears, and pours it on her, healing all of her broken bones and wounds. Well, Volley-chan is a prodigy. She lasted 3 whole days in her balance breaker, and I was testing out her limits. My clone was with you, no? Naruto questions. Yes, but it's not the same. I could have come in the barrier with you too. Ravel whines. Sorry, Ravel-chan, but you are still a while away from being at Volley's level. Well, you have your immortality. She inherited a Lucifer trait of having immense demonic reserves compared to other devils. Her Longinus gives her an unfair advantage, sort of like the Sharingan, Naruto says. So overpowered. But I can get there one day, right? Ravel questions desperately. Of course. You can get as powerful as you want if you put in the work, and I will be right there cheering you, along, Naruto says with a wink. His clone's memories flood back to him and he sees what Ravel has done. You made another cake? Naruto asks eagerly. Her cakes are nearly as good as ramen. Yup. I thought you would appreciate it. You should be thankful that a lady such as I made you a cake, she says with fake haughtiness, drawing a laugh. Volley squirms in his hands as she begins to wake up. Those Phoenix Tears really work wonders. She opens her eyes and sees her sensei carrying her with Ravel beside her. She snuggles into her sensei's chest, relishing in the physical contact. "You're so warm," Volley purrs out. Laughing, Naruto puts her down, making her pout. "What happened, sensei? One moment you were glowing ethereally orange, and the next I remember nothing," Volley asks. "You saw part of my ultimate form, you could say. I use it to knock you out in less than a second," Naruto says while rubbing the back of his head. "To think Naruto-sensei had something like that," Ravel says in slight awe. "How much more powerful can it get?" Volley questions. "Much more powerful," Naruto says with a little laugh. Volley and Ravel get depressed slightly before resolving themselves to work harder to catch up. "Naruto-sensei, I still am having trouble coming up with ways to get around my mediocre taijutsu, but I can't think of anything. Do you have any suggestions?" Ravel asks. "Hard work," Naruto says, getting a deadpan. "Sorry, Ravel-chan, but you just need to keep working at it. Once you get to a sufficient level, I actually have several ideas that could make you really deadly from close. Here is a hint. Use heat," Naruto says. "Heat?" Ravel questions as she looks toward Volley, who frowns in confusion as well. "Yup. Now let's go eat some cake," Naruto says as he walks quickly to the house. He is really hungry, and it sounds like the ideal meal. Red ruby eyes stare intently down at a house in the middle of a forest, with an angry scowl on her face. Waves of power radiate off her, signaling her intent. In her hand is a spear with red mist coming of it as she hurls at a speed impossible for all but a few to follow. It pierces the house, hitting the ground below, and a huge explosion 300 yards wide engulfs the surrounding area. She moves at such a high speed that it looks like teleportation and lands next to her spear, and pulls it out of the ground. A huge power, matching and maybe even surpassing hers, comes from her right, and she clicks her tongue in annoyance. "Figures that wouldn't kill the man of my affection," she thinks with begrudging respect. She raises her power levels even more, and the aura matches her. She takes back to the air, and stares down the whisker-marked blonde who is shielding his two little students whose names she can't remember. It seems she caught them all asleep, going by how Naruto and the silver-haired girl are in their underwear, while the little girl is in pajamas. "Seems like I miss," she says out loud. "Ereshkigal-chan. What the fuck?" Naruto yells out, bewildered. She only snarls at the suffix added to her name. She raises her power even more. Every living being in 30 miles can feel the power she is emitting. Naruto adopts his nine-tails cloak as he summons several clones. One immediately starts meditating, while the others stand ready to protect his students. "You're going to die here today, Uzumaki Naruto," she yells out before instantly launching into attacking him. Volley and Ravel don't even see her move before she is right in front of Naruto, her spear attempting to pierce him. Even Naruto is caught slightly off guard, but he manages to barely dodge. He tries to grab the spear, before hissing in pain as the red mist hits his hand, and he immediately retracts it and kicks her away. "Volley, Ravel, get out of here now. You will die if you stay," Naruto says seriously as his clone-gathering senjutsu dispels, sending it all to him, and his power increases even higher. "Fuck yeah. An actual fight. With one of your previous lovers, no less. You must really suck in bed," Kurama snickers as he gathers and molds his chakra for Naruto to use. Ignoring the voice in his head, he rapidly dodges several more spear thrusts, as his clones are running away with his students as fast as they can. A pair of skeleton hands grabs his ankles, and he is momentarily held in place for maybe a millisecond, but it is a big enough opening for Ereshkigal to take advantage of, and she thrusts right for his heart. Naruto creates a chakra arm which intercepts the lance, and he manages to get away, before he is skewered. He eyes down Ereshkigal warily, knowing that she still isn't using anywhere near her full power, that she is radiating. She is testing him right now. Still, he has no doubt that all the supernatural factions are now aware that something is going on here. Annoyed at being attacked and his precious students almost dying, he gives her a glare that promises pain. He appears in front of her in an instant and thrusts a Rasengan into her gut before she can react and sends her flying away. She gets up instantly, not fazed at all by the attack. Not even her clothes, which are very seductive looking, are damaged. Naruto expected this much as she is a goddess after all. The most powerful one currently in the Sumerian pantheon. "That tickles," she says, rolling her eyes. He should know that wouldn't hurt her. "Why the hell are you doing this here, Chan? You almost killed me and my students," Naruto asks, honestly confused. It makes no sense to him as the last time they saw each other it was on good terms. Her red eyes harden as she remembers why she is here. She draws on her full power, now radiating across Germany and beyond, where all the citizens feel as if a ton has dropped on top of them. Many die from heart attacks. She sends out blasts of death magic at him, causing him to contort his body rapidly, to miss them by the thinnest of margins as he knows his magic is nowhere near the level to stop those kinds of attacks yet, and he'd rather not risk tanking it with his cloak on. Annoyed, he creates several clones each going after Ereshkigal, while he creates two Rasen shurikens in his hands. He throws them directly at her, and with a flick of her wrist a magic barrier appears in front of her and tanks them easily. Scowling, he tries to get in close, but her spear work is flawless, driving him back. He doesn't take out Kubikirabacho as he knows that it would instantly be cut through by that spear like butter. I should be faster than this, as Naruto thinks to himself, annoyed. Ereshkigal is powerful and his instincts scream that he shouldn't get hit by that spear, no matter the cost. His clones pop and tell him that Volley and Ravel are safe as they teleported to the North Pole. Naruto creates a Bijidama in his hand, adding in Sage Mode Chakra, making it even stronger. He launches it at Ereshkigal, his eyes slightly widen at the technique and dodges by a centimeter. It hits the ground many miles away, and a huge explosion that rocks all of Germany for a moment occurs. The aftermath is a 2-mile wide crater going hundreds of feet into the ground with the surrounding area out of the crater incinerated. Naruto is slightly surprised by how powerful that scaled-down version is. He could have made that a lot more powerful, and Kurama could have made one that dwarfed it. That might have killed me. Ereshkigal shouts angrily, and Naruto raises an eyebrow in disbelief. Did she really just say that, after trying to kill me? Not even to mention Volley and Ravel. Naruto thinks to himself. Why did you sleep with the crazy goddess? Also, to answer your previous statement, you still haven't released your restriction seal, Kurama questions. Naruto wants to slap himself in the face. How did he forget to do that? That is a mistake he would have made when he was younger. This shouldn't happen now. He releases it, and it feels light as light as a feather. He disappears from Ereshkigal's view and appears behind her, delivering a punishing kick to her side. She gets sent a mile away into the ground. This time she gets up with a bit of golden blood coming out of her mouth. She creates a ginormous magic circle in the sky, at least 2 miles wide, and a black mist spews out of it covering the land. Everything below rots away to nothing, while Naruto's cloak keeps him safe, though he has to constantly replenish it now thanks to the mist. Then an even larger circle appears, and thousands of lightning bolts start peppering the area, Naruto having to constantly dodge as he creates several clones, trying to draw some of the fire away from him. He responds in turn by creating a Biju-powered Ultra Big Bull Rasen Shuriken and throws it, instantly covering the distance between them, and hits the shield she created. This time the billions of super-powered wind blades slice through the barrier, and Ereshkigal gets hit. Their screams of pain loudly reverberate throughout the countryside as Naruto looks on, thinking it's over. As she appears from the sphere with blood coming out of everywhere, she is breathing raggedly, but very much alive, shocking Naruto. How? He questions as he doesn't even think he can survive a direct hit from something like that. I am an extremely powerful goddess of death. I know of several ways to cheat it, she says as she wipes the blood from her mouth. She is going to kill him if it's the last thing she does. Spear in hand, it starts glowing ominously as she pours power into it. She speeds over to Naruto and goes on an all-out offensive. Thrusting, twirling, swiping and slashing with her spear, trying to land a hit on him. Eventually, she nicks his arm as he was unable to avoid the attack, and she smirks. Naruto sees that smirk and frowns as clearly something just happened. Then he feels it. The most excruciating pain that he has even felt in his life. Nothing has ever come close to what he is feeling right now, including the Chidori to the chest. He immediately distances himself, extremely wary and panting heavily. Ereshkigal frowns slightly as she thought that would have ended it. What the hell was that? Naruto questions as he can still feel the pain. Now, why would I tell you? Ereshkigal asks in return. What idiot explains what their attacks do in the middle of a death match? Still, I am surprised you survived. Let's see if you do so again, Ereshkigal says as she draws on her full power and her divine aspects. Naruto's eyes widen as he feels the power build up and flashes over to her, trying to disrupt it. Unfortunately, he is a fraction of a second too late. Karkaijo Akala, she yells at the land within 10 miles, explodes upward as a violent red beam of energy appears from the ground, consuming everything. Naruto, caught in the blast, only has milliseconds to form a defense or risk annihilation. He grimaces and he uses 6 Paths Sage Mode, along with his 6 Paths Chakra, sending his power to a level that ignites a primal fear in the heart of Ereshkigal. He forms a truth-seeking ball that he has encircle him just before the attack hits. Once it ends, Naruto steps out of the black sphere and Ereshkigal instinctively takes a step back in trepidation. The blonde's power level went so high that she can barely feel it. No doubt, he was just playing with her before. Naruto looks around to see a barren, molten landscape with some magma and a deep crater for as far as he can see. No doubt from his attack and hers, hundreds to thousands of lives were lost. Just like the Shinobi War. Idly, he notes that he isn't so upset by this like he would have been before. It may have to do with being a devil now, or he just doesn't have any connection to the humans of this world. Well, that certainly got everyone's attention if we didn't have it before. I think it's time to end this before they get here, no? Naruto says as he flashes before her and lands several extremely brutal hits on her body and face. Blood flies and bones break as she is rocketed down to the ground below. He speeds down right next to her as she tries to get up, kneeing her in the stomach, and she crumples over. He bats the spear away from her, still extremely wary of it. So Air-chan, why did you do this? I really can't think of a reason, Naruto asks as he levels a sword made out of a truth-seeking ball at her. One stab and she will be annihilated. She mumbles something under her breath that he can't pick him, even with his sensitive hearing. What? I said because you ran away from me. You were my first, and I wanted to be with you, but you ran, and never came back, Ereshkigal yells, shocking Naruto. Do you realize how hard it is for me to find someone? I am the Sumerian goddess of death who didn't even know that another realm existed for millennia. Everyone worships or fears me, and no one sees me as me. I was lonely. Then you came along and spent time with me, not caring of my status, and became special to me. Then after a drunken night of me proclaiming you my consort, you fled, making me the laughing stock of the gods. So, I tracked you down and planned to kill you because if you can't be with me, I wouldn't allow you to be with anyone else. Ereshkigal finishes her rant with tears in her eyes. Naruto lowers his sword slightly, still shocked while also feeling slightly guilty. He did just leave, and not say anything to her, after spending 2 weeks getting to know her, and spending several nights together. So, it justified a full-out assault to try and kill me with thousands of humans dying as a result. Naruto questions. Do you know what I hear every day? The complaints and screams of humans. They are nothing more than annoying insects that I can't stand. You ruled the Sumerian underworld for several millennia and think differently. I don't care as long as I killed you. I would have taken your soul, and you would have spent eternity with me, Ereshkigal says as her tears dry up. It was a good plan, if only Naruto wasn't as powerful as he is. She didn't even know he was that powerful. Besides, we both know we limited ourselves, as he could have easily destroyed the entire country at full power, but that would draw out other deities. Faster, Ereshkigal says as she looks at the sword. Are you going to kill me? She asks calmly, but the quaver in her lip tells him that she is scared. No, Naruto says as he powers down back to his base form. He couldn't live with himself if he killed her now. A look of relief passes through her face. She may be a goddess of death, but she still fears it. Well, I am leaving now, as I am sure that factions are going to be coming now that our powers are under control. Bye, Ear-chan, and don't do this again, Naruto says. Wait, can I come? Ereshkigal asks a little desperately. When Naruto looks back, in her eyes he sees a desperate girl that doesn't want to be alone anymore. He sighs as he knows his students are going to kill him. Sure, but if you do anything to threaten my students again, I will end you. No exceptions. Am I clear? He says, and she nods her head rapidly. With one last sigh, he offers his hand and she eagerly grabs it and pulls herself up. He creates a teleportation circle and heads to the North Pole to his students. Not a minute later, representatives from the Devil, Fallen, Heaven, Norse, Greek, and Egyptian factions appeared. Needless to say, things got intense fast. And so that's why Ereshkigal is here with me now. Naruto finishes his story. Volleys and Ravel's jaws were on the ground. The bitch that almost killed them, and their sensei is now going to be with them indefinitely, and they have to worry about another romantic rival as it is clear she likes him. Ereshkigal clears her throat, getting 2 death glares. Oh my, she chuckles out nervously. I wouldn't cause any more harm to you two nor Naruto-kun. I merely wish to be with him as I told him. Don't you have godly duties? Ravel asks as she recovers herself. The goddess of death surely can't skip out on them. Actually, with my pantheon hardly having any followers left, I rarely receive new souls. I would have to check up on it once every 6 months or so, but that's it. If you are the leader of your pantheon, you'd be surprised by just how much free time gods and goddesses have on their hands. They mostly look for entertainment, Ereshkigal explains. Both Volleys and Ravel's brows twitch at hearing she will be with them constantly. Well, I think our main problem now is that we are homeless, Naruto says as he looks out at the white landscape. Truly, this is a frozen desert. Where are we going to go, sensei? Volley asks as she shivers. She changed into normal clothes, but it's still freezing. I am thinking the USA. Specifically Arizona. Lots of land and few neighbors that I can easily buy out, Naruto says. Perfect training conditions for his young students and himself. Anything you want for the house? He asks around. I want a great kitchen, Ravel says. I want a large bath to seat a group of people in hot spring, Volley says as she plans ahead. Well, I am used to a palace and dead servants, but as long as I share a room with you, it's fine. Ereshkigal says with a smile, making Ravel and Volley cough on the air. Even Naruto's eyes widen. You sure you don't want your own room? Naruto asks cautiously. He still feels like she is a loose cannon. Nope. Ishtar, that bitch, once bragged to me that makeup sex is the best, and I have a lot of making up to do, Ereshkigal says as she rubs her thighs together. Naruto's previous power may have made her experience primal fear then, but looking back on it, it makes her highly aroused. Naruto looks over the 5'3" blonde, red-eyed goddess who has a sinful body that looks great in the black dress-like apparel, with her black panties on full display in the front, and her light maroon, black cape going down to her feet, with a black crown adorning her head. He certainly likes the idea of makeup sex with her. He hasn't seen Freya in a while. Well, I believe we can get that house today. Let's go, he stutters out, to the annoyance of his students. The competition just got harder. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.